We're going to take a look at what it might have been like to be there in Pompeii in 24th of August in 79 AD. It started out like most any other day, 8 a.m. and early in the morning, bustling, a town just waking up. There are reports of an early earthquake that ran through the entire area, and the birds left. Quite often, the instinct of animals surpasses that of modern man. Earthquakes really weren't that big of a thing for them. They had seen quite a few, and in fact, quite a few as of recently, but yet they still got no indication. Nowadays, like in Mount St. Helens, they would have had the definite idea, like, you need to get out of here. They might have had the measuring equipment to tell you that it was rising and that the magma chamber had activated, but back then they didn't have a clue. This place was built, though, under the edge of an ancient volcano, and it's believed that the original settlement there was appeasing a volcano god. And they did what they could not to make him mad. Oddly, the strange way it shows the debris field and what had happened, it seems like kind of like a water hose, and you put your thumb on it. If you were to shoot it straight up in the air, or not quite straight up in the air, it would go over an arch and land not too far away. And indeed, this was spewing out up into the air and back down, raining all over Pompeii. And there was ash coming down too, hot ash, thick as rain, to where you couldn't see this picture right here, but it's not put in there because of that effect, but you couldn't see anything. The buildings were covered, and most everybody had perished by this time. Few got away. The Temple of Apollo to the right, collapsing and letting loose. Fires starting everywhere. A mere 4 hours later, the place would have been a nightmare. Buildings just collapsing under the weight of all the ash that was on top of them. It would have been a lot more than this. Again, couldn't be shown actually in the animation, or you couldn't see the effect of what is going on. And Zeus himself decided to pay a visit, as this place actually developed its own weather system. Quite often, whenever a volcano does go off, it'll pull off its own weather system, and lightning and so on. And the story of lightning destroying volcanoes hints back to the tales of Typhon. By the time sunset happened, there was not much left. Although there were still some dwellings still inherent, everything was covered in ash that would have been raining to where you couldn't have seen the sunset. But there were some things that were left. Well, no, all is lost. And again, that fountain of hot ash constantly raining down upon the city. What would have looked like just after midnight. like some type of nuclear accident. Pyroclastic flows and the tops of the mountain started giving away. And ironically, the first one didn't run right at the city. It comes off to the left, they say, or what would have been from the volcano to the right. But the luck wasn't with this city on this day, for they had built it in the valley, built on a trench that was really leading just down. It would have been like the ski resort below the mountain. By the next day, now some of this is taken from Pliny the Younger, who it is said gave a great account of this, but who it is said Pliny the Elder died in this event trying to help people out. The river was lost, and pyroclastic flows started coming in. A wave coming at the city some 60 to 80 foot tall and bursting above that of some 800-degree volcanic ash, pumice, and sediment, literally 1/3 of a mountain, releasing and covering a city. Nothing left but a crater on Vesuvius. It even rebuilt itself up quite a bit from this point, kind of like St. Helens has done. But everything here is below 20 foot of ash. And by the end of 25th of August, the landscape around Mount Vesuvius had been changed forever. Vesuvius was a crater, and the river and the port were gone. Pompeii had been completely buried within a few years. No one could remember where the city had even once stood.